Handle your high with Tadayoshi.
All right, welcome, Derek. Welcome to my podcast, Handle Your High. I really appreciate you taking the time to. I know you're busy. I think you said you're at your parents' house or something, or you?
My girlfriend's parents back in Indiana right now.
Oh, okay.
I've been here for like 2 weeks or whatever, and I tell you what, I love Tampa. I love training and living in Tampa, but it's nice to go home, back to where you're from, see familiar faces, visit friends and family. So listen, like I said, it's been a dream of mine to move to Florida. I love that I live down there now, but I'm Indiana at heart, and I'll always be that. I'll never forget where I came from.
That's pretty cool. I only have a couple experiences in Indiana, and here's what they are. When years ago, when I went to graduate school, I went from the West Coast to the East Coast, and I drove made the long trek, across country.
Right on 70.
Exactly.
You went right through where I used to live, Terre Haute, Indiana.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, precisely. And what I remember about this area is like the mosquito, the bugs that hit my windshield were huge.
Dude, oh my God, they're like this big.
Yeah, and it was covered, and I saw cornfields and all kinds of, and it was just very majestic. I felt it was very, very cool.
It's crazy. Like, I kind of say, like, maybe me living here was a reason that I became a bodybuilder, because there's really nothing else to do. And like, seriously, I'm like I have always, since I was young, I've always been like a goal-driven person. If I like set my mind to something, or if I want to achieve something, I will 100% do it. But if I'm like checked out, there's not really much going on, then I'm like, whatever. So there's really not much going on around here,
So you had to find something.
There is a gym, but there's a gym, and I can go and I can get better at my sports, which I played soccer and I was a wrestler. So I can go beat all these other guys because I'm training harder. So it kind of gave me that purpose, I think at an early age, by having nothing else to
Yeah, it was interesting because I remember we stayed overnight there, me, my ex-wife, and my brother, and he was helping us move. I had this giant 33-foot U-Haul, and it was like, I remember waking up in the morning, watching the news, and the most exciting things going on was whose birthday it was.
Seriously though, but it's kind of cool, right?
It's very cool. I was like, wow, this is really neat,
Like this is where I'm from, and I gotta be honest, like when I was growing up, I was like, man, there's not, like, I need to move somewhere else and be somewhere else, right? To push me and to really get my career booming in whatever it was. I didn't know what I ever was gonna do. I just thought I don't want to say get out of here. I got to get out of here, but it was kind of a goal of mine, like I said, to move somewhere else like Florida. But when I come back here, it's just like I said, it feels like family. Everyone here in the town is like family because everyone knows everyone.
Now, how big of a town is it?
I went to church the other day, and everybody's like, "Oh, Barbara." Oh, I'm like, and it's so cool that like the whole family or the whole town knows each other. And I don't know, it's a old old country farm town where I'm from.
What town is that you grew up in and live in?
So I grew up and went to school in Petersburg, Indiana. Nobody will have a clue where that is. Some people know where Evansville, Indiana is, and that's down south, like right on the border of Kentucky.
Okay.
So I live very close to the tri-state, Illinois, Kentucky, and Indiana.
Oh, okay. I get you. I'm right there. I actually live in Chicago, or in the North Shore part of Chicago, and I don't know how far is that from?
We're straight down from Chicago.
So. Oh, okay. So a couple of hours, probably what, 2 or 3 hours, something like that.
Well, Terre Haute's like 4, and then I was probably another hour after that.
Oh, okay. So growing up in a small town where everybody knows each other, not a lot of secrets, right?
Maybe that's why I've also tried to be honest my whole life too. Hold on. Sorry, did that?
No, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Good.
Somebody's trying to call me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, maybe that's why I've always tried to be honest. And if I ever felt wrong in a situation, I had to get it off my chest because everybody's gonna find out anyway. So that's why I've always thought like that. I'm like, so. I
think it's a good way to think. I think that sometimes one of the advantages and disadvantages in our culture is that we have grown as a society, and we live in many of us live in places where there's a lot of people, and you lose that sort of sense of community. And that's kind of that. It's great to have larger places where there's lots of resources and lots of things,
right.
But it's also great to have these smaller communities where everyone relies on each other, and you start to
listen. I'm sorry because I'm not sure where the direction of your video or this interview wants to go, but listen, let me tell you, I got to go off on this one, because I think bodybuilding fans will appreciate things other than, like we said, like training and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes. But dude, I'm telling you, man, I really don't know what's best as far as like starting out in life. Like as a baby, should you be born rich or poor or whatever? Is that gonna mold you into the person to be successful? Is what I'm saying.
Sure.
I don't know. But, my girlfriend and I got to talking the other day. It's like, I believe her and I, we were taught to be kind people.
Yes.
Like to be good people, good-hearted people with good morals, and stick to your morals and don't deviate from who you are. You know what I'm saying? And always remember where you came from. I think those are the things that was instilled in us by our parents and our upbringing.
When you say, I hear you say, you said it a couple times when you say, always remember where you came from. What does that mean to you?
Well, I always promised myself back in the day, like as I was growing up as a kid, like in sports and school, if I promised you something, I would always uphold my promise. Or if it was like, I was always told, don't ever forget where you came from. I don't know why I was told that, but I just always was. Just don't forget where you came from. But why I started off with the whole, if I promise you something, I'll back it up. I remember, I'm not kidding, this is weird, but back in the 8th grade, I wrestled a couple years in elementary school, but I switched to basketball and went back to wrestling in the 8th grade. And a friend of mine, we were all like hanging out and we were wrestling and stuff, and I was beating everybody. And one of the friends I was with said, dude, you should go out for the wrestling team next year as a freshman in high school. And I was like, I don't know. Anyway, long story short, he encouraged me to join the wrestling team. So I told him that night, I remember, I'll never forget, I said, if I ever make it big in wrestling, I said, I'll say, I did it for Trevor, or or something like that. Trevor's the one that told me, to get into wrestling. But I told him I promised him. And so anyway, try to make a long story short, I go to college to wrestle, and I'm thinking, wow, this is it. I never thanked the guy yet because I'm like, I can do more. And then I quit wrestling because I transferred schools and I took a different path. But then as I rose in bodybuilding, which I believe was because of wrestling, right? A few years after that, when I won junior nationals, the overall, I called him up and I said, hey man, I found his number somehow, and I called him up. I said, hey man, you don't remember this, but I do. Back in the 8th grade, blah, 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 blah. You said this and whatever, I promised you. I didn't make it in wrestling, but it looks like I'm doing pretty well in bodybuilding, so thanks, man. He goes, whoa. Like, that's like, but like, how many people do that? Like, and honestly, man, he wasn't even that close of a friend. Like, really wasn't. He was just like a person I knew that was nice, but we never hung out. But probably that one. I think that might have been the only time we ever hung out, actually.
Oh wow! So it was important to you. It sounds like it was just important to you to keep your promise and to thank him for his. Yeah,
I always held on to that, and that's that right there. I think just shows exactly what you're asking is, never forget where you came from.
Sure.
And like you were saying, like it's nice to have a lot of things at your fingertips, like I have down in Florida now. But you know what? The last 2-3 weeks I've been in Indiana. I'm sure you've seen. I've been posting on Instagram. My update pictures, my transformation in the last couple of weeks is insane, and my mental state is just, I'm so clear-minded, focused, and I don't know, I don't even really feel like I'm prepping.
That's awesome. Well, that's another piece that I always tend to focus on in my interviews and in my podcast is this idea of mindset and focus. And it was what I wanted to ask you about, because when I read through some of your description, your bio on your website, you talk a little bit about some influences that you had in college that were some of them from the gym and some from school,
yeah.
But and they were important to you, and how it sort of helped shape your focus for bodybuilding. So tell me a little bit more about that and what does it mean? What does that stuff mean?
Right. Well, first and foremost, this right here. I don't think it's a coincidence that certain people I met, at certain times of my life. I believe that they're godsends, and I just don't see how it's a coincidence where I grew up. My mother had always been on a diet, and I woke up to my mother like every morning doing some sort of home video workout.
Oh, really? That's cool.
As like a grade school kid, I would watch her in the morning. And I would do it with her sometimes. I was always into sports and stuff, but I think that was like an influence, but also a passion given by God.
Sure.
Now, what you're asking is like influences along the way. After that, more like in college. Well, like I said, I joined the wrestling team. Before that, basketball. Early in school, basketball. I loved it. I wanted to be the next Michael Jordan, but that wasn't actually going to happen, right? So that turned me. That hard work I put into basketball turned me to be a wrestler. And maybe that one instance, like I said, wrestling that kid, early in school, but then going to college and getting that experience of like that discipline and that next level work ethic, and then actually having the balls to quit was tough.
That was tough.
It was tough because I thought once I always thought in high school, I'm like, there's some guys who can make it to the college level or farther, and they don't do it because of a girl. They don't do it because of this stupid reason or whatever.
Some distraction.
But you know what? I felt like I just was being told you need to switch to something else. So anyway, like I said, I went from wrestling to quitting wrestling to transferring schools, and I was at a really low place in my life.
Really? Oh, wow.
With family and friends. I was living in my car, actually.
Wow. Why? What was the situation? What happened?
I don't want to go too much into things. That's more like my personal life and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I have a great relationship with everyone in my family now. I changed. I was immature. I changed. That's what happened.
I think sometimes I know, like for me, I got distracted. Like, it's easy when you're younger. You need that time sometimes to figure out how to make your life work. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We all have it. At the
same time, though, it was like my generation and even before, we all feel a little bit more like we deserve it. Like
sure.
It's
like an entitlement.
Like, entitlement. Yeah, we just feel like we wake up every day and we think like, okay, mom's gonna take care of this, or or you know what I'm saying. Or I'll always have this roof over my head. I'll always be able to take warm showers or have a hot meal. Or it's like, I don't know. We just take things for granted. And but anyway, I'm gonna kind of go on a 2-part with this.
Sure.
Back to what I was gonna say with my girl is like, now that I've been influenced, like in college, like I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that my coach moved from out west to my small little town. Didn't know who he was. Met him in the gym that I transferred schools to.
Oh.
And he owned the supplement store in town, or one of them. And I asked him questions, and then finally I was like, will you be my coach? So how is that not a godsend? But anyway, that was most of my influence in college. And then I had a lot of buddies who were bodybuilders, that were going to school there too. But anyway, and but like I said, now that I've been able to experience different parts of the world, different cultures and things like that, holy cow, I wish everybody could get like the real experience, like like I said, I went to South Africa, I went to the Philippines, I went to Germany, I went to UK. That's not a ton of places outside the US. I went all over the US. But you know what? That was enough for me to realize that, we have it very, very good here.
Absolutely. That's one of the
very,
things.
Very good.
It's one of the things I always recommend to people that I wish that I had done when I was younger. I mean, I'm 49 now, but when I was younger, I wish that I had traveled abroad more to be able to experience other cultures and other people. And you realize 2 things, at least that I did. You realize, one, they're just like you and I.
Yeah.
they just
totally.
happen to speak different languages and maybe have different beliefs, but they're just like you and I.
Totally.
And also you get a deeper appreciation for these diverse cultures and diverse people that you really can't have when it's filtered through the media and it's filtered through an opinion. So
Totally.
and now I mean, I went to Thailand, I got all these different great places.
Here's the thing: is us Americans, and I love us. Like, obviously, whatever, America. No, we live in an amazing country. But the thing is we take it for granted, and we live in our own little bubble, and we don't realize that there's really things
Going on out there.
things going on. I even asked my dad, and I love my dad. He knew where I was going with this before. He wasn't a sucker. But I said, hey, Dad, what do you think about our government? Just a random question. We were talking, whatever. And I was like, in general, what would you say about our government? And he said something about, well, there's, criminals. And I was like, yeah, of course, there's, I'm not saying there's not corrupt people. Right. But I said, our government's pretty amazing compared to other countries.
We have a lot of benefits.
Other countries are like killing their own people, and like there's real world stuff going on. And we have a lot. I think so much of the media, so much of our attention sometimes gets pointed at the things we don't like about what's going on in the government. But there's also so many things that are going on that are good. Right.
So it's really boils down to what kind of perspective do you want to have? Do you want to be the person that focuses on the things you don't like, or do you want to be the kind of person that focuses on things you appreciate?
Right. So this is what I actually nobody knows this, so this is the first. But an old college professor of mine from a school I graduated in here in Indiana, he's taking the semester off. He was my professor, taking the semester off. I guess the university's paying him to write like a bestseller book about self-awareness and like purpose and stuff, and of successful people and like what makes them like
different or unique.
Yeah, and stuff. And he reached out to me, and I'm going to be like in a chapter in that book.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool. And so I think that what I was going to say is being self-aware. I think that's something I've always, again, maybe growing up in Indiana, there's a lot of time to think.
No, it's a quality. I think this what you're talking about, this cognitive sort of awareness, this sort of attention to what this really means, everything. Who you are, who you really are in this universe.
No. Yes. That's literally what I'm saying. Like I talk about who do you want to be? Because I struggled with this in the past. I have changed myself tremendously over just a few years. I know I'm not the same person I was last year, the year before, and especially a few years ago. And I love it because I believe I'm a better person because of my experiences, because being self-aware and honest with myself. But like you said, I struggled before, with is it fake it till you make it? Are you being fake? And I'm not talking about this whole all be positive stuff. I'm just because there's sometimes that you want to, just everybody gets frustrated, right? And I sit back and think about it, and I'm like, no, this is who I want to be. And just like in the weight room, when you're under you're 6, 7, 8 plates on the hack squat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to get out of there, and you're like, oh man, and you do it, and you overcome that challenge, and then you get stronger. So it's the same thing with me biting my tongue, or
absolutely.
Or if I'm low on energy, and it's somebody comes and starts talking to me while I'm training or in the on the cardio. It's instead of going you don't realize I'm 9 weeks out from the Olympia, right? That would have been me when I first started bodybuilding. But now it's no, that's the opportunity for me to be better and make someone else's life happier. So I'm making them happy, and then I'm also doing my part. And at the end of the day, when I get done with this cardio and I walk out, I feel better about myself. So because I'm aware of who I want to be and not just how I feel at the time, I'm aware of who I want to be, I'm happier. And so, I don't know, that's just been helping me. No,
that's a really wonderful perspective, and I think it's something that I have worked towards coming to in my life as well. It's really bizarre because you remind me so much of myself 25 years ago when
that's
I was
cool.
And because I had the same, I went as far as I went to seminary. I went for graduate school. I studied ethics and religion and theology, and I got degrees in philosophy because of these questions.
Very interesting, right?
And I really felt, and I still feel this today, that bodybuilding led me to it. That it was because I first started wanting to change my body, and I was really trying to change my life. I was really trying to become something, like you were saying. And
dude, 100%. That was me. That's what I always say. Really, just not to cut you off, but I always say, like, I had to have a focus after wrestling. I had to find a focus, and I preach that to kids, like, especially like, you know, high school or young kids, like, get into sports and stuff. Find a focus. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
It's
I'm like 100% with you.
So that's it, and it's led me throughout my career to do the same thing. I say it like this usually, people. I went from focusing on the physical to the intellectual to the spiritual, and a big full circle. And now I combined all three, and I combined it in my coaching. I combined it in my life, and I feel like I feel like the what you talked about, being self-aware, and that's the piece right today where I have so much focus on, and being really, really aware of, like you said, not just what I'm feeling, although that's really important, because if you read anything I write meditations and on social media every weekday, and I talk a lot about feelings, because the feelings are our register. They tell us a lot about the direction we're going and what we're experiencing.
Right.
But being aware of who I really am in this universe, in this life, and where I want, what kind of expression do I want to, I always say it like this, that I want to always show up my best self. I always want my best self to show up. And that means that's the fullest version of me that I can possibly be in that moment. And
being self-aware is being honest with yourself.
Yes.
And it's it's very important in my opinion. And a lot of people disagree. Oh, you're wrong. Like, you should always tell yourself you're happy. I go,
if you're not, you're not.
It doesn't work that way for me, because if I go in the gym and I tell you, man, I'm tired, man, I'm not feeling it today. And I say, like, I don't think I'm going to go that heavy, I will probably hit a PR that day. No, that's just it's just weird how it works. I'm like,
do you think it's because you push yourself harder because you're aware that you're not feeling where you want to be? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I think I'm like, okay, if I can just do this much, I'll feel accomplished, but I already know, like, in my head, I'm going to do that. Like, this is what I say. Okay, I go, sometimes I get kind of cocky or funny in my workouts, right? And I'll tell my training partner that I'm with, I'll be like, okay, man, we got a couple more exercises left. I go, everything we just did was to be a bodybuilder. The rest is to be a champion.
I like that.
So you know, it's just something to get you hyped up. But like the days I go in there, I'm like, all right, man, it's leg day. I gotta kick ass. It's gotta be a great day. It's usually just I almost psych myself up, like, to where it's like I have to hit this high PR to where I'll have, like, if I'm going to the gym an hour away, I'll have anxiety all the way to the gym thinking I gotta make. I did the other day, and it was always a good workout. But then the other day, like, what was it? Yesterday, I was just like, you know what? Whatever gets done, gets done. Right. You know, if I you know, hit a PR, if I train like balls out, like, whatever, and then, of course, that was the best day I've had.
Sometimes it works that way. I think what I like most is is how you set your expectations. So when you let go of sometimes when you let go of expectations, it's easier for you to be able to push farther.
Absolutely, dude. One day that I'm speaking of is, like, I was with my girlfriend. We were in there training, and she goes, she says some really good stuff to me, and I'm gonna tell you what, I love that girl to death. We've been together for 8.5 years.
Wow.
And I'm very proud of her. We went through so much, man. And
did you guys meet in college? Did you guys, or
before, like, right before I went to college? And she was, so she's going to grad school to be a doctor in physical therapy.
Oh, good for her.
That girl is, I'm telling you, she's a workhorse, man. Like, she and does it with such a better attitude than me. And dude, she has the best balance in the world. I love her to death. But last year she said to me, she's like, I think I was like, I don't know how many weeks out from the Olympia. I called her. I was like, man, I was like, babe, I was like, it's getting rough, you know? And she goes, well, you didn't move down there away from me to not give your best, did you? And I was like, oh, all right, motivating, right?
Yeah.
So then when I was up here the other day, we were training legs at one of my favorite gyms down Evansville, Indiana, Nitro Fitness. I walked in and I was like, man, okay, I have to have a great leg workout. Like, today's leg day, I gotta, you know, crush it. But as I started going, I just started getting frustrated with myself a little bit. Like I'm not feeling it today, you know? And she said something. She said, well, just remember how you was when you went to college, when you first started. Like, remember when you were here, like, a few years ago when you were doing your first show, just do that much. Because for me, it's like every year I've raised my standard. I've always strived for, if you do this much, tomorrow you're going to do this much.
Right.
And the next week you're going to do this much. Like, and you're never going to do this much again, ever. So when I brought myself back down, and I'm not going to say like always doing this is necessary or whatever is ever going to progress like that. But if like I knocked myself back down, I said, okay, if you can just do this, remember to be a bodybuilder.
Right. Then anything,
you're good to go. Just do a few sets, enjoy it, get a pump, do your cardio, whatever. And then as soon as I flipped that switch in my mind, like, and it was just like have fun with it. Like I said, I crushed it.
Oh, good. Well, I've looked at some of your. I had actually to move topics a little bit. I've looked at some of your recent progress pics, like you said, and you're looking amazing. I mean, you have a really wonderful physique. Now, I'm always amazed that you can even get into that 212. Like, I'm just like, I'm like, how do you? So what do you weigh in the off season?
I got up to close to like 260.
Okay, wow. How do you? Man, that must be a tough cut.
260. I was not in optimal health.
Okay.
I was like really like not feeling well at 260, but 250 to 255 I felt great.
Okay.
Which was scary. No, if you think about it, I'm like, I gotta get back down to 212. That's 40 pounds. And I feel good at this weight. I have abs. I'm pretty ripped. Like I have some, I'm not stage ready, but I'm pretty lean at 250 to 255. And
what do you now?
Training hard. Huh?
What do you now?
I was not gonna go there. The other day I was, let's see, at 12 weeks out, I was like 238.
Okay.
I got down to 235 at that time, but my weight was true like 238. That was a fluke.
Man, it must. Is it tough for you to get down to 212? I mean, it must be tough.
It's gonna be fun this
year. Good. Well,
I'm a cardio bunny.
Well, would you ever want to move up to the open? Because I mean, it sounds like your body will hold the weight.
I don't know how to answer this appropriately, but I'll say this: I have entertained the idea of going open at some point in my career.
When it's appropriate, when it feels right.
I would be interested in doing it. Yeah, I've entertained the idea, and but here's the thing: is like I can only be focused on this year's 212 title.
Sure.
For now, and if I win that title, it will be hard for me to want to go up. But if I don't win it, it'll also be hard for me to want to go up because I want to win the title.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
I see. I know exactly. But you fit the profile of our previous champion, Flex Lewis, in terms of how much muscle you have on stage, how much muscle you have in the off season, how heavy and having to cut. So it's the same kind of profile, and he struggled too.
Here's what I think, though, is this is me just comparing facts. I believe I have a wider structure than Flex Lewis.
Yes.
So I think that would carry me into the open a lot better. If I were to do the open and he were to do the open.
Yeah.
But I think of Flex Lewis, he always said, he said publicly that 225 to 230 was his best. I think if I were to ever give my best, I think it would be at 235 to 240 minimum.
Yeah, I think so.
I think 240 me would be my all-time greatest, and with gnarly conditioning, of course.
Yeah, that's like cartoon type stuff.
And I think this year, if I were to compete, even at the Olympia, if I were to be open, it would be like 225.
Okay. Yeah,
maybe 230.
Well, I know you're going to be a phenomenal 212er this year at the Olympia. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I'm excited, man. We got 9 weeks. 9 weeks tomorrow.
And I think that when it comes to moving back to the mindset and focus, I think when it comes to preparing for shows, and most people who've never prepared for bodybuilding shows, don't realize the level of focus you really need. And when everything is clicking in place like it sounds like it is for you, that just tells me that you're going to look pretty awesome. And so,
well, I tell you what, man, I really appreciate the compliment, man. I came back for like a week and a half was my scheduled time here in Indiana, And as soon as I got here, like 3 days in, I booked my flight for an extra week and a half. Because I was just like, I need to be here. This is this is where I need to be. Best place in the world.
So does it help you? Does it feel like it's helping you focus a little bit, or totally. Adding to it?
But at the same time, I think I'm coming to an end, because I leave here Monday, to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to go back and train down there for a little bit and get a different mindset. So I think for me, bouncing around different places and traveling helps me versus staying in a routine of the same thing, like same thing. I'm bouncing around to different gyms every single day.
Oh.
Here in Indiana. So, but yeah, it'll be good for me to go back and focus. But what's really cool this year is that from the last couple years, I have learned so much in the last 1 year. It is incredible, like about my body, and like, I was doing some things in the off season myself a little bit more, to where I was like able to, figure out my own body and some things to do and not to do. And, like I said, before I came down, I was in a really bad slump, actually, to where 2 weeks I'm like, man, something is not right now. My physique was kind of coming to a halt, like as far as progress. And I'm like, what's going on here? And come to find out, like, my electrolytes were a little bit off in my water. So I wasn't, my sodium potassium balance was off, along with I was drinking a little bit too much, caffeine, like pre-workout, and like fat, doing like a fat burner in the morning. And I was like, man, my body can't handle that. It's like putting me into the ground. So I just stopped it. I haven't had caffeine since, and I got my sodium back up and everything. And I think that's a huge help physically, and hormonally. So,
well, absolutely. A lot of people don't realize this, especially these days, the last 10 years or so, pre-workouts and lots of very stimulating compounds that people use a lot. They've become very popular, but it's very, very, it can be very aggressive on the system, especially especially your adrenal glands and stuff. And you really need all these things to work right. And it impedes your parasympathetic nervous system, which is really important for you to have this balance, so that way you can recover.
Because truthfully, I only need to be excited, the word excited, when I'm doing my cardio and when I'm training.
Right.
Like any other time of the day, I really need to just be chilled out for the most part. Maybe, go do stuff, walk around, do things, but not like, oh my God, got to get this done, got to get that done, unless you really do have that much going on. But you need to be able to like calm your body, calm your mind a little bit more, and just like kind of focus on daily stuff. But as far as that, what I was going to say was I learned so much about, my biomechanics, execution, and training from training with Ben last year. So the way it worked in the past for me, the first 3 years I competed, 2015 to 2017, it was just me and my coach. I did my training, and my James Brown, JB Prep, always did my nutrition and everything, coached me into a show. 2018 rolls around. Last year, I moved to Tampa, Florida to train with Ben Mikulski, as training me in the gym and pushing me and whatever, whereas James was still my nutrition coach. And I just felt like the communication wasn't there enough.
Right.
With having, I wouldn't say two coaches, but one guy doing my training, one guy doing my nutrition. It wasn't lining up. And there were some times where I'm like, I don't think that this is what I would do for me. Like in the training, like we would train for 3 or 3.5 hours on legs.
Oh, wow.
That was pretty common. I mean, every single day we were training for at least 2 to 2.5 hours. 2 hours would be fast. 2.5 hours would be normal. 3 hours would be like a leg or back day, and 3.5 would be a leg day.
Wow.
So yeah, but I did way less cardio. But I don't think that was appropriate all the time for my body. And sometimes I felt like I could have, like I said, done things a little bit differently, like tempo or just maybe, I don't know, just my style of training. Whereas this year, I'm taking everything I learned last year from the execution, that my muscle connection that I got with all the muscles that were weak. And now every time that I go and do my old style of training that I like better, I'm able to get way more out of the workout and understand why I'm doing it and everything, So
oh, good.
I think that's why my body kind of looks like it did 2 years ago now.
Oh,
It's like popping and like it's hard looking versus like kind of just drawn, like kind of, you know what I mean? Like last year kind of felt like just wore out.
And
whereas now it looks fresh.
That can happen, especially if you're not getting like if you're overtraining or if you're or just you're overstimulating the system.
Well, I think it was a good idea, a good thought, you know, if I was an open guy, you know, because like I said, for my body, for me being a 212er, I don't think training for 3 hours would be the best thing. And I say that because if I'm training harder, training more, that means I need to eat more.
Right.
If I'm eating more, I'm going to grow. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, speaking of eating, does your system require a lot of calories, generally speaking, or can you get by with quite a bit less?
If I ate 2,800 calories in a prep, I would not lose any weight.
Really? Okay. Now, are you the kind of guy like I have a horrible appetite. I've never had a big appetite. I think it's probably the Japanese in me. I'm supposed to be this 130-pound dude.
You're a cheater.
What was that?
You're a cheater.
Yeah, I just don't have a large appetite. My body doesn't require a lot of, but I could eat a lot. I mean, I could when I was at my biggest, I was 272, and I was never above 10%, and I was eating 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day. But I had to drink. I had to drink a lot of it, and I had to force feed. That was the only way for me to get my body to really grow. But I naturally want to be under 2,500 calories. That's naturally where I want to be. But where is your sweet spot?
I don't burn a whole lot of calories either. I don't think. I don't really need a lot of food. If I ate anything over 200 grams of carbs, I would be swole as a house year round. So
you stay full then. Your muscles stay, because you have a wonderful fullness. When I look at your pictures, you have a really nice clean fullness in your muscles, and that's a good quality.
I've heard that, but I look at myself and I'm like, oh, I'm flat. I look
right.
But I don't really need much food, to be honest with you. And I don't know. Before bodybuilding, yes, I was a 130-pound wrestler in high school. Senior year, I was actually 112, and then 112 to 212 now, right?
Right, it's a whole 100-pound difference.
Yeah. So whenever I stopped wrestling in college and everything, and I wanted to bodybuild, yes, I was mass gainer shakes. You know, even I would wake up in the middle of the night and do a mass gainer shake.
I did that, yeah.
Eat all day long, junk. You know. McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever, anything I can get my hands on, anything. And once I actually got on a bodybuilding diet with my coach, 2 or 3 weeks into it, I've been hungry ever since, even in my off seasons.
Okay.
My hunger signal is always there.
Oh, good. That's good. Mine was always turned off. And that's my sense of satiety is just, it kicks in.
Last year, my off season, I tried to turn it off. The best way I was able to do that was do like I don't want to call it an intermittent fasting, but I'm going to call it just like normal person eating.
Right.
Like I would go to the gym and train. I would do some cardio here and there, but I would literally just maybe eat 3 meals a day, 4 meals maybe. And if I didn't eat until 2 o'clock and train before that, I don't care. I'm not going to care, you know, because at the end of the day, did I eat 3,000 calories? Did I eat 2,000 calories?
Right.
You know, because I was trying to keep my weight low, and turn my appetite off, so I wasn't eating too much and training too much. You know.
Right. I understand. Yeah, that makes sense. If it works, it works. Like you like I tell like you're the expert on your own body for the most part, and so you can govern these things. But
if you're trying to grow and build muscle and you're not hungry, that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. There's
and one thing. This is why I tell people. I said. It's one of two things, and you can do both. Either one, you're not training hard enough. Right? Like if you're plugging all this food, you're not gaining weight, you're not hungry.
It's probably something wrong with training.
Yeah, or if you're eating a little food and you're not hungry, yeah, you're probably not training hard enough. Okay, so step up your training. And are you doing any cardio? No, because I can't eat that much anyway. I'll burn more calories. Okay, you burn 400 calories and you're going to eat 12.
Right.
Like, you know, because, you see what I'm saying? So it's... do cardio in your off season or just train harder.
Now, do you how many weeks out do you usually start a prep?
Well,
is it different?
the first year I competed, I was a bit chubby.
Okay.
I started at 210 pounds and I ended up at 150 something pounds. And I started at 32 weeks out or something like that.
Wow, that's almost.
Yeah, I did a show after that too. 2 weeks later, the welterweight class of at Junior Nationals. I won that one. Anyway, 32 weeks or something. I was at prep, and then the next year I was like, okay, let's knock it down a little bit and let's do 24 weeks because everybody talks about 16 and 20 weeks. Well, what if I started at 24 weeks? What could I do? So for whatever reason, I started 24 weeks out into my first show. The second show and then third show, by the time I got the third show, it was another 15 or 16 weeks.
Oh, jeez. So you were dying most of the year.
2016 when I did it was the first Indie Pro show, like the Midwest Battle of Champions, just the amateur. When it was just the first amateur show, I won the overall as a middleweight. I went to Junior Nationals 2016, won the overall as a middleweight, and then I placed second at USA's in the middleweight. Yeah, 2016.
Well, but these days it's not. You don't take that long of a prep now, right?
Oh, and then and then so for 2017, the next year, 20-week prep, normal, solid. But then I ended up going to Olympia that year, so that was 7 weeks after that. So This year I started at like 20 weeks out.
Okay. Wow, you take such long. But I guess your prep is slow and steady, or you know.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you, man. Is that I would prefer to do like an 8-week, let's just shred up now and get it done, because I can do that a lot easier than a 20 or plus week prep. But I think that it's healthier and it's, the results will be better, I think, if you go slower.
Yeah. I remember early on in my career when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I would take 8 to 12 weeks. 12 was a long prep, 8 was my typical, and I would be able to get in shape. But this was the 90s. And then when I got beyond over 35 and I started doing like the Masters Nationals and stuff like that, I took average 14 to 16 weeks.
Gotcha.
But it was mostly because the level of competition went up, and I did not want to not be in shape. And
it kind of forces me to get in shape early because I usually try to schedule guest posings in April.
Right.
So starting in April, then I'm like, okay, well that'll give me at least my diet will get cleaned up for a couple weeks, and I won't look too sloppy. And then I have 16 weeks of prep after my first couple.
Right. Was it now moving topic again? When I started, I remember my family, my family's always been very supportive for the most part, especially my twin brother. Always been 100%. You can do it, Ted. He was my biggest fan since the beginning. But when I decided to turn it into a career, my mom, I think my mother was a little befuddled. Because she wanted me to go into business because that's what she wanted me to do. And so I did, and so it was a little challenging at first. Now they're all very supportive because I've been so successful and everything. But was that a challenge for you in your life as well? Because you made the transition earlier than I did. I had another career and
So half of my family is always like behind me no matter what I do. Like if I was a professional pencil pusher, then they would support me and whatever and be proud of me no matter what. Then you have another part of my family who, are discouraging a little bit. Doesn't matter what I do.
Maybe they just don't understand.
I'm like, okay, so I don't know, like for the most part, I just really what it comes down to, I guess, is I focus on the people that care about me, love me, and support me, and because I know who I am and like I said, who I want to be and what I want to do in my life. And I know that my intentions are good, right? So if I know all those things and I know my purpose, well, then I guess, why would I ever care to listen to the naysayers? You know what I mean? Like, why do I, like, no matter who they are. Like,
wow, I have to say this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to say this again because, man, it reminds me of the same stuff that I was thinking in my own head way back in the day. Yeah. I
just don't, man. Like I have so many people that actually support me and care about me, and I have like coming back to Indiana, like I said, like just the community in itself, like is so proud of me. Like they really like it's incredible how much support I've gotten throughout the community here in all of Indiana. Just everywhere I go, like people are just genuinely like happy for me and encouraging. And it's like I have way too many people that are like behind me to care at all about the people that are like against me. Like seriously.
Well, and I think the way you put it is nice, because it's the same way that I think about things. I think about things that is like, I know who I am, I know what my purpose is, and I also know that all my intentions are always good.
Yes.
Even if somebody else may misinterpret my
Right.
actions or my words, I
Right.
can't really control that. Right? They're going to think what they're going to think, and that's up to them.
I have some funny stories on those.
Oh, yeah?
One was I pulled in this lady's parking spot at Walmart. This all happened 2 days apart or something like that. Pulled in this lady's parking spot, and she was like yelling and cussing at me, and I go, well, I got inside. I go, ma'am, I'm really sorry. If I had known like you were wanting to park there, like, because the car was backing up and I pulled in. I guess she wanted to pull in. I didn't see her. So she was cussing, yelling at me, and let's just say she was in deep off season. Right. So she was with her kids too. And I was like, ma'am, I went up there. I was like very polite. I even like held my hands like this. Like it was just kind of like my head down, like very trying to approach her very calmly. And I said, ma'am, I'm very sorry. Like if I had known like you wanted to park there before I came in, I would have definitely let you park there. I would have parked in the back. It doesn't matter. Like I don't care. It doesn't bother me that much. But she was cussing at me, blah blah, and you need to stop bodybuilding because you look terrible. And I was like,
wow, that's not what the rest of the world says.
I go, okay. I go, well, ma'am, I am really sorry. God bless. Have a great day. And then 2 days later, I was at the mall walking with my girlfriend. It was right after her birthday. I was going to go buy her Lululemon leggings. She's obsessed with those.
Well, they're great.
So as we're going, we're getting to the store, and we slowly come to a halt, like to a stop. And we're in the middle of the walkway, and all of a sudden I get slammed from behind with a stroller. And stuff goes everywhere, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like literally trying to register. Did this just really happen? Like, did he really just hit me? And this guy was like, looking at me in my face, waiting for me to say like, oh, it's okay, like, or whatever. And he just kept looking at me, and the lady, like, I just kind of kept looking at him, and the lady comes around. She had nothing to do with it, but I guess it was his wife, and she starts yelling at me like, well, you were in the way, and blah blah. I was like, I had said nothing.
Oh my gosh!
I said nothing, and I go, whoa. I go, man, just. God bless. Have a great day. Same thing.
Wow. People have some bad days or something, man.
I was like, so I get hit and then I get yelled at. Like,
well,
to be honest with you, it goes off onto another subject too, is that, I didn't realize that people's perspective of me would change once I looked different, truly.
Absolutely.
Like, as a 150-pound guy, I mean, people don't treat me the same way as they do now. Like, there's a lot that I like about it, and then there's some times where I'm like, man, I do wish I was just normal. I could just get into the Walmart and leave. But, like I said, every experience, everything we go through in life, every interaction is an opportunity.
That's right.
To do something positive. So it's like, maybe used to, like I said, I might have been like, leave me alone. Now it's like I'm inviting, encouraging. I love it. I'm like, no, like, let's get a picture. Like, let's, Well,
all those challenging moments where you encounter something that might challenge your perspective or challenge your good vibes, is like sharpening your sword. This is the way I think about it. Like, I get the opportunity to in the face of adversity, in the face of some challenge in my life, I can either match it and be aggressive back, or be upset, or be pissed off, or I could take it and I could spin it in my own way, and I could create something really wonderful from it, even if they don't see it. Even if they don't see it.
Totally, and that's what we were talking about in the beginnings. Like, you have to be self-aware of what's going on. Like, if you can realize, like, okay, this is the opportunity, this is it right here. It's like I said, it's just like getting under the hack squat or a squat or a bench press.
Exactly.
It's like, it's coming. This is it. And as soon as you're hit with something like, boom, you're blindsided with something that wants to, get you frustrated. It's like, okay, well, that's my opportunity right here. How do I want to take it?
Exactly. Well, precisely. And I especially when it comes to people, interacting with people, I in my mind, I always try to disengage that desire to want to change their perspective.
I do too, because I'm thinking now to myself, it's like if people see me walking into the gym, and they don't know who I am, they just see me as a person going into a gym. Sometimes I think that they might think, he might be not such a nice guy, maybe a kind of a jerk.
Oh,
because
really?
you're walking in, you're a few weeks out from a show, and you're like, ugh. You know what I mean? And you don't really talk to anybody, you just do your thing, and you don't acknowledge anyone. I don't know. I just think what I'm trying to get at is when someone else approaches you, and there is a conflict or something like that, or somebody's trying to stir something up on social media even. Well, think about it. You just never know what's going on in their life and their reasons.
That's precisely right. Most of the time, I remind myself of this all the time as well. I remind myself that whenever somebody's interacting with me in a negative way or in some other way that I don't like, or whenever I see it going on in the world,
right,
that's their story. No matter who they're pointing
right
at, no matter what excuse they use to have that attitude or to have that perspective, it's still something that's going on within them and has nothing to do with me.
Think about it. How many times, everybody that's been in a relationship can say this. They go to work, you go to work, or you have a problem with someone else, your friend or something like that. Somebody screwed you over, and then you don't take it out on them, and you get home, and all of a sudden your wife or your husband or whoever, they just do something little, and all of a sudden you
boom.
go off on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like again, you just don't know what people's going through and what the real reason is behind it. And again, the person that's going off, if it is me, it's because I'm either not self-aware or I am self-aware and I'm weak.
Right.
It's just the truth, man. That's just the way I see it.
No, I think it's fairly accurate. I think that we express what's going on within us, and no matter what the reasons are for, that's what. If you have frustration, you're gonna look for the next excuse. This is why I always used to wonder when I started driving. I used to wonder, why do people get so upset when people cut each other off? Because people will cut me off. This happened just the other day. I'm sitting there driving home from the gym with my daughter. My daughter's in the car. She's 10. And this lady who's got to be 90 years old, she's driving 15 miles an hour, and she just kind of slowly moves over to my lane. And I start to laugh, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she almost caused an accident. I could have hit her really easily. It was a great learning opportunity for me to be able to discuss with my daughter. I said, oh yeah. I said, you see that she almost caused an accident. I said, but I don't know who's in that car. I bet you she might be old. Maybe there's something going on. I said, but do you ever hear me get upset? And she's like, no, Dad, you never get upset. I said, because it's not one, it's not worth it, but two, I'm the one that gets upset. It's me.
It's your problem.
Right. It's me. I don't want to feel upset. So
I have to tell some of my friends and family that sometimes too. And we're all hypocrites because we do get frustrated. We do get angry. We do spout off sometimes. We're human. But trying to be better at those, opportunities. But it's I always tell my friends and family, they're like, oh, if I do this, it's going to just tick me off. And I go, well, why? Why? And they're like, well, it's just going to make me mad. I go, well, that's your choice.
That's right. Absolutely.
If you want it to make you mad, I guess so.
That's another thing that I remind myself. Everything is a choice. It's always a choice.
I tell you another cool story. I've told it before, and I don't tell a lot of, nice stories like this, because I feel like if I say too much, it makes you just sound like, oh, you just trying to get people to like him or for what he did. But I think this is so important for so many people. So my family come down. This has been several weeks, a couple months actually. My family come down, and I was hanging out with my younger stepbrother, and we went to a bodybuilding show down in Florida. And so there was this lady there, and we were coming out of the venue, and she had a little booth, and she's like, hey, do you guys want to try these, her meals? She had little sample meals. Instead of selling them, she was just giving them a couple samples away. And I was like, wow, they taste delicious. And I told her, I was like, wow, they're really good. I'm like, I'm surprised you're not selling them or whatever. And she's like, no, I just, and she's like, but I am a fan. Can I get a picture? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, sure, whatever. And so anyway, she gave us some to take home. And I was like, you know what? here's $5. And she's like, I don't want your $5, like whatever. And I'm like, no, just it's $5, and it's just, I feel like for whatever
I gotta
reason,
give you something.
yeah. And I walk out of the place, and I turned to my brother and I go, what did I say? I said, now that lady, I go, she was very excited to give me, the meals. She was just wanted me to try them, and she was just happy, and she knew who I was and this and that. And I go, she did not expect me to give her $5, but I go, you still can do nice things in return for people. What I basically just saying, like, she didn't expect it, but you can still do nice things.
Yeah.
Even though I got something for free, it's nice, but whatever. So the cool part was I drove down the road. I left. I go, man, I should have grabbed something to drink. Let me stop at this gas station 1 block down the road. Pull in, and I get a drink for me and him, and I'm at the cash register, and this guy goes, holy crap. And I was like, yeah. He goes, dude, can we get a picture? I follow you on Instagram. like, okay. All right, cool. I go, yeah, only if these drinks are for free. And I started laughing. And he goes, okay, clicks the register. He's like, free. I go, dude, no, I'll pay for it. It's no problem. I'm only kidding. He goes, no, you're not paying for them. I go, whoa. I was like, so we took a picture, and I was like, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. And I left. I looked at my brother again. I go, did you see what happened? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you've been working your butt off for years, and people recognize your hard work. And I was like, you're missing the point, bud. You're missing the point.
You get what you give, man.
No, I go, you don't remember I just gave that lady $5 back there, and their drinks were going to cost us $5, did you?
I firmly believe that we get in this unit, we get what we give. It's kind of how it works.
I am just so happy that happened, because I was able to tell that on another interview. I was able to share that experience with him, and him go, whoa. And now I'm able to share it with you and whoever's going to watch this video, because it's like, dude, kindness goes
absolutely
the farthest. I mean, honesty, integrity, and kindness is like, if you want to learn how to be successful outside of the discipline and hard work and that it takes to, develop your craft, being kind to other people and loyal and having good integrity is like the fastest track to success.
So did you always feel, just like, out of curiosity, because I always felt, because I'm big on kindness as well, on being understanding and being kind to others, even if they don't agree with you, and so I give a lot of latitude. But throughout my life, especially when I was in my early 20s and throughout my 20s, I felt like, man, I'm finishing last. Nice guys really do finish last. Have you ever? Because I wasn't. I could have cheated. I could have lied. I could have done the things to get ahead, and I chose not to. And I had to make sacrifices to do that. But did you feel that kind of that way? Has it been that experience for you?
Yeah, because I chalked that one up to an immature, negative attitude. And it has nothing to do with age. Well, age is part of it, maturing usually, but I'm not saying that a 20-year-old isn't more mature than a 40-year-old sometimes. But so it's not based off age, but
right,
maturity for sure, and just lacking the self-awareness, I guess, now, because
sure.
now you're thinking to yourself, why is everything happening to me? And even though I'm such a great person, and now you're putting yourself on a pedestal, and you're asking why bad things happen to me when good things should happen to me. So now it's entitlement.
Right.
So it's,
well, I wish I could have talked to you when I was in my 20s.
It's kind of, well, the thing is I love to talk to people that want to hear what I have to say that are younger. Like one of my brothers, one's step and one's a half brother. One of them wants to hear what I have to say, and he takes it all in. The other one's like, Derek, shut up. Like, it's like, here we go again with Derek preaching and stuff. But I love to influence younger people, because I was just there a few years ago, and I'm still learning on my direction in life. But I think there's a lot of very ambitious, good-hearted kids that just don't know where to go or like how to focus their mind. And if they can focus it with a positive attitude and with a clear mind, then I think, I don't know. I just want to make a positive impact on those people's lives. It means I can't. Earlier
when we first started the interview, you talked about knowing your purpose and stuff like that, and some of that purpose is uplifting others. Why is that important? How did that come to you? I'm just curious because that seems to be a common thread with some people. But sometimes I don't sense authenticity. But I sense authenticity with you.
Like we talked about, is this. There is a mental you, a physical you, a spiritual you, right? So, you know, when I dive into my spiritual faith, I'm not saying my religion. I claim I'm a Christian. However, my faith in Christ is what I focus on preaching more of, I guess.
Sure.
So that there is the sole root of my purpose, is what I believe. So, okay, so why did God put me on this earth? Well, why does God put everyone on earth? In my opinion, and my belief, is that it's to serve God and serve others. Truthfully. And again, I'm a hypocrite for saying that because I'm not perfect. But that should be our purpose in life, is to serve God and serve others. So then like I said, like you identify your calling or your job or whatever you're doing in life. That so like for me, bodybuilding is my calling. It's not my purpose. My purpose is to make a positive impact. That's how I serve other people, right? Is to make a positive impact and inspire people to be more positive and to be a better version of themselves. Whereas I think some people get it mistaken that your calling, like what you do daily, or what or society standards, or like, you know, rules and laws. No, I think when it comes down to it, I'm getting very deep here. It's like really, we're born into this world to serve God, serve others, and then we die, and then there's an afterlife. So it's like, I think just like we've talked about how Americans, or really anyone in their own country, are very in their own little bubble. Right? Like of thinking. I think that as like the human race, like on earth, we are on our own little bubble. So I think spiritually that reigns supreme to everything, like your purpose in life. Like, so my purpose in life to serve, I hope this makes sense now, if I can bring it back to an example today. My purpose goes along with my calling. My calling is bodybuilding, and my purpose is to use that calling as a platform to, like I said, be a positive influence. Now, if I was like a chef,
right,
you know, and that was my passion, and that was my calling, was to be the world's best chef, and I was to serve people food. That's serving people and making people's lives happier and better. You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, you're using your calling to empower your purpose, your sense of purpose, because that's uniquely who you are.
Right.
A lot of people talk about passion, like finding your passion. Like that's a big sort of. And
so, to me, that's easy. Like that's the easiest part. I think people are just scared. Even when I was okay. So really quickly, I know all this I've been talking about is super probably hard to comprehend, because when I was talking to that guy, the author of the book, we were having to just like stop and like go, wait,
dissect some of that stuff.
We have to really get into detail on every like sentence I said. I'd have to explain like even more. So anyway, sorry if nobody's understanding what I'm saying.
No. I think it's
okay. So where was I at? Again, now I'm confused.
Oh, calling, purpose, and passion.
Yeah. So the passion I think is the easiest thing. I think people just get scared to admit it and like go for their passion.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Like, yeah. So like, I've talked to several people, and I'm like, so what do you want to do in your life? Like, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Like, what do you want to do? And you know, they'll say, well, I really like I would love to do this. And I'm like, would you really? Like, that's your, like, if you could do nothing else, you get paid the same. Yes, I would love to do this in my life. I said, then do it. And they're just like, I don't know, like how like I could get paid to do something like that. Well, and I'm like, I go, well, here's the thing. If you really are passionate about it, and this is something that you're good at doing, right? Those usually go hand in hand. What you're good at, what you're passionate about, kind of go hand in hand. I think like you'll find a way of
Yeah, I mean, like, if you listen to Gary Vee out there, I love him. I think he's awesome. He says that he has something to say about this. He says that if you have a passion, if you have something you really love doing, then you'll find a way to monetize it. You'll find a way to have it make. I mean, that's not the purpose isn't making the money. The purpose is doing following the calling that you have. Empowering the purpose of your life. Exactly what you're saying. I think that what you're describing is really, really, really important when it comes to passion and people being scared because.
So the cool part is let's wrap it back around to bodybuilding now.
Okay.
So like I wear my characteristics daily. You see who I am by my physique. You see the discipline. You see the sacrifice, the hard work, right? You see all of that. So like with what we're talking about, again, you got me confused. Trying to wrap it back around to bodybuilding.
Oh, to passion and being scared and stuff like that.
Oh. No, we were talking about something else. I was trying to wrap it back around. Missed it.
What I was really getting at was I think it's what you touched on about people being afraid to follow the passion that they have in their life and then what they're getting confused with is they're trying to justify the passion, trying to predict how it's supposed to play out.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, and that's
I got it now.
Yeah, that's a big mistake.
So I always say this. I've said it over and over and over again. So I think your passion, your calling are both pretty much given by God, right?
Right.
I believe people are placed in your life for a reason, and so I think that you're given a talent, like genetics, for example. For me, like I've been given good genetics for bodybuilding, a talent. So some people are basketball, baseball, some people are business, some people are whatever. So you're given a talent to do something, right? And a passion and therefore a calling. And then the skill is developed over time through doing, repetitions of what it is you're striving for, right? And I think people are just like with bodybuilding, you can see that with me. You can see that I'm passionate about going to the gym. It's the first thing I think about when I open my eyes every morning, and it's the last thing I think about when I go to bed. The first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning is like what I'm training that day.
I want people. I want to highlight that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to highlight that because I've talked about this before. What the hallmark of people who are truly successful and champions in their art, their craft, their sport, is this characteristic you're talking about. Is the singular focus of mind and body, specifically mind, of what their purpose is daily. The first when you wake up during the day, when you go to sleep, what's on your mind is what you're creating.
Well,
that's
the thing is
really
like,
important.
I don't know. It's a sickening mindset, but it's just who I am.
Right.
It's like since I was probably the past 10 years of my life, and I know I'm young, but probably the last 10 years of my life, I knew every single day that I was waking up to go to the gym to train.
Right. For
a purpose, whether it was wrestling or whether it was bodybuilding. But especially since I've been bodybuilding and I decided I wanted to be a, pro bodybuilder, compete in Olympia, all that. Waking up, getting my meals in, training, cardio, all of that is just like brushing my teeth or combing my hair, or I don't comb my hair, but wash my hair. But you know what I mean? Like it's just something I know I'm gonna do every single day. Like if I make plans, it has to be kind of around that. It's like I already know this is what I'm gonna be doing. So if I want to do anything else outside of that, then I have to make sure that's
actually really interesting too, because I know that feeling. That's the feeling I had with bodybuilding for so many years as well. And it's when I work with clients who and they're usually not athletes, the ones that ask this question, they say, well, how do I do this? How do I get this workout in? How do I get this meal in if I'm doing this? And I think and the first thought is, well, it's really the question. So the real question is, how are you doing the other stuff in the midst of that? That's if they reverse the logic, then all of a sudden you make the other stuff fit into this stuff that becomes that it's truly important.
I'm trying so hard. I love my mother to death, and she's amazing, but she always likes to do diet plans and programs and stuff like that. and the thing is she hasn't been able to learn. I'm trying to teach her. She hasn't been able to learn how to make it like just kind of who she is, like how she eats and how she fits it into her life. Like, that's just who she is. She hasn't made it her lifestyle, but it is something she's working very hard at. So I'm very, very proud of her. She's doing she calls it Mr. Olympia Mom Prep.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Not quite prepping.
Right.
She's dieting down. And she's very, I've been actually going to the gym with her a lot in the last couple of weeks, and, I'm very proud of her. But, she's just like anybody else, any college guy out there that wants to, be a professional bodybuilder. It's like, you can't be half on, half off. You have to make it who you are. It's like, I was actually in a fraternity at one time.
Oh.
Me and my girl, we were in fraternity sororities, and that was very, very, very short-lived because I realized, I was like, I'm not into this stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't do that either.
And it's either you guys or my career, and I choose bodybuilding.
I made the same choice when I was in college too. I opted out. I was rushed and stuff, but
so who do you want to be?
Right, exactly.
You want to be a fraternity guy, a frat boy.
I only wanted to go to the parties. That's all I wanted to do.
and look, man, there's time for that, dude. Like,
right.
If you want to enjoy that, like in your off season, or if you want to enjoy that at any time in your life that's legal, and you want to be responsible, I think it is good that people go out and enjoy themselves.
Absolutely.
But, if it's a regular drink every night because you just want to have 4 or 5 beers every night, I don't know if that's a good lifestyle to have. Probably
not the best. There are consequences. There's consequences.
So, but our lifestyle is this direction.
Right.
We want to be very healthy and go to the gym and train, and this is just who we are because we love to do it. And we do shows, man. We're the best at doing these competitions. So, if I wasn't a competitor, I would definitely still be a bodybuilder. That's a fact, 100%.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think how I always think about it is like it really boils down to the components of a person's lifestyle, right? Like, what is who are you is really a part of your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is comprised of your behaviors, and your behaviors are comprised of your choices. And so, if you want to change your lifestyle, it starts with changing those choices, which changes the behaviors, and they have to be consistent and congruent with what you want. And so, but a lot of people just really I grew up, same thing. My mother was always on a diet, on this one diet or this diet, the Cambridge diet, the ice cream diet, whatever the hell it was. Yeah. And I remember watching her struggle with this stuff. But what she didn't get was that you don't take a diet and drop it into your lifestyle. You have to change everything in your lifestyle to get the result. And so she kind of floundered a bit until it took her 25 years to ask me for help. Until she finally did. And I never wanted to push it on her because she knew my perspective and she knew what I did. And I finally helped her, and she lost 65 pounds in 6 months. Just by, and all I did, because she had bad knees, bad hips, and stuff like that. So all I did was change her diet and have her go on walks. And it really worked.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I actually did the same thing for my mom, but she didn't lose that much weight. I mean, my mom's always been, pretty fit. But the best result she ever got was whenever she was working with me a couple years ago. But I think it was just because I'm her son and she wants to, make me proud, just like I want to make her proud. But she's with another guy now. I'm not sure who he is. But and the plan looks pretty good. So I'm like, whatever.
As long as she's enjoying it, as long as she's getting some value out of it, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Well, Derek, I really, really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me on the podcast here today, and you remind me so much intellectually and spiritually of myself when I was your age, with the same kind of concerns, same kinds of questions. And so it's really been a delight and really been uplifting to talk to you. I appreciate it. I truly appreciate it.
It's a pleasure of mine, man. It's good to get to know you, man.
Yeah.
I've watched your stuff for a long, long time, ever since I started bodybuilding. Followed you for a long time, and never spoke to you. So
I know. Well, I'll tell you this much. I expect some really great things from you. I know you'll do some fantastic things in the upcoming years, this year and upcoming years. I really think your physique is a wonderful physique, and I really hope that you put some magic together. It looks like you really are right now, and you come to this. I'll see you at the Olympia, and
I'll see you there for sure. Make sure you stop by my booth. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll get some pictures and stuff like that, and we'll keep it. And again, you are, like I said, I think you have some really great promise. I think you're right in line with Flex Lewis and tracking along the same kind of career that he has had with his physique. Except I actually think your physique looks a little cleaner. So
Really?
I do. I think it looks a little clean. It looks, and it's hard. I use that word, clean, but it's because you got this really nice, tiny little waist, and you got these really bulbous muscles.
Listen, man, I don't know. Like, the last few weeks, I just thought to myself, just have fun, do your best. Like literally every day I walk in the gym, I say it's all. I tell myself it's all about effort.
That's right.
All about the effort. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you hit a PR or lift this much weight or have a 3-hour training session. When you walk out the gym, you better know that you gave 100% effort.
Right.
And that's all I ask. And so that's all I ask of myself now, and it's been working out, man. Me and my coach James.
Who's your coach, James?
James Brown. He is JB Prep on Instagram.
Okay, JB Prep. Okay, cool. Well, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and where they're gonna see you next at the Olympia, right?
So I actually guest posed for Dylan Armbrust in like 3 weeks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, at the Denver, Colorado show out there. Yeah.
You'll have to get a. What was that?
It's the first weekend of August, which is the weekend of the Tampa Pro. So I'm actually flying Friday away from Tampa to go to this show. Yeah, and then after that, just keep following me on Instagram, Mr. USA 2017, because I'm going to be posting a lot there. And then my website, dereklunsford.com. I've got my Olympia shirts from last year and this year up. There's programs, and even I'm going to start taking on a few more one-on-one clients. I only have a handful because I don't really want to be much of a coach, but I think I can help a handful of people. So I have my online coaching, I have my programs and my shirts and everything, and motivation and videos that I put on YouTube. So yeah, I got my own YouTube, Derek Lunsford.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and other than that, I mean, Animal doesn't, and Gas, they don't. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, my sponsors never asked me to shout them out, but listen, Animal has been amazing to me. They've backed me for several years. Universal Animal, and then Gasp. I just signed with them. I'm really excited about that. Icon Meals has been hooking me up with my meals.
Do you like them?
I love it, man. My code is Derek10.
Derek10. Okay, cool. It's
and of course Protan. They help me out.
Okay.
And CJ suits.
CJ's awesome. I love CJ. She's awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
so I just try to. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, they're all good people, man. That's the thing. Like, I feel like Animal and Gasp are very, very similar type people, and you know how sweet CJ is, and Stacy from Protan, you know how they are.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you really do some damage at the Olympia this year. I'm wondering. It's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting. Like I said, when I look at you, I always think, how did this guy make it to the 212? But I'm so glad that you do, because you look phenomenal when you do. So,
what's your top 5?
Good question, man. I want to look at the list. I'll come out with it. But you're in the top. You're definitely in the top 2 for sure. But I don't know who's going to be. Who's
your top 2?
Who all, do you know who's on the list right now?
Well, some of the more promising guys I've heard, and this is in no order, but the guy Kamal from last year that placed 3rd, Ahmad Ashkenani, Eduardo Correa. I'm even going to throw Sean Clarida's name in the hat. You got David Henry. You got Hide that won. And then, I think Guy Cisternino is going to do well.
Guy looks awesome.
Him or John Jewett are going to do really well in Tampa, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Out of that list, I would say that I like who I personally like. Given that everyone comes in great shape, obviously, I'll give you 3. Your physique, absolutely you. Ashkenani, Ahmad, and I like Eduardo. So I think Eduardo's probably gonna be 3rd or 4th, something of that nature. But that's what I say. But Ahmed, if he does everything right, because last year was a little watery.
I've always appreciated Eduardo's physique because he's hard.
He's hard as nails, man. Yeah.
Nasty. So.
and he has but he's certain poses. You can see the flaws. You can see some of the and you don't have that. So I really, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting here talking to you.
No, I know. Thank you. Yeah,
but the only thing I would say about your physique that sets you behind somebody like Ahmed is getting super dry and hard. What I've seen, that's what I'm saying. You get lean, but having that really cellophane, grainy look is kind of what they want.
We're going for more this year, though. I think you're gonna see it better this
year. Good, because you get that, and it's like game over. It's wonderful stuff. So that's my. But I'll come out with an official, my official video later. But all right, man. Well, thanks again, Derek. Stay on the line real quick. Stay on the line for me real quick. But thanks again for being on the show, and I appreciate it. If anybody wants to get out there and reach you, they can reach you on your Instagram, Mr. USA. What is it again?
Mr. USA 2017 or DerekLunsford.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks, Derek. I appreciate it again. You're awesome. I'll see you at the Olympia.
No, thank you, man.
Handle your high with Tadayoshi.